Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday and welcome to Masterclass Friday. That's right, it's that time of week once again to do our thing. The Adobe Evangelists are here every Friday to do our various disciplines and to show off, what we think is, cool to learn that particular week. So, uh, Paul Tranny usually kicks things off with a design masterclass before me, but he's on sabbatical, so I think they did a replay. And I do one on photography, and then we intersperse some creative challenges in between. And Jason Levine comes up and does video and audio, and Howard Pinsky does UX UI design, and Kyle Webster does digital painting and drawing. So you have a full day of learning cool things from the Adobe Evangelist team. So with that said, I just want to remind people, if you're watching on another channel, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is you might be watching on, cool, you can hang out there. But if you want to participate in the chat, meaning if you want me to see your questions, I can't watch all the chats at the same time plus do the lesson. So therefore, I usually pay attention to the one main chat, and that is the one on b.net/Adobe Live. So the banner I just put up on screen. So if you head over there, sign in with your Adobe ID, which is free to create if you don't already have one. You can even sign in, I believe, with your social media account for your creative or for your Adobe ID. You can participate in the chat, and I see General Kenobi, I see Jesse, I see Roger. Thank you, Roger. I appreciate it. Bobby, Robert, Sam Peterson, and over on YouTube, I see Rocky Nash. Long time no see. How are you? And I see Dale Bales on Facebook. And cold Iowa. Yes, it's kind of cold all over the United States, at least these last couple days. So probably except for Florida, maybe. All right, but anyway, great to be here. And today we're going to be taking a look at, and by the way, we're back to the full hour. So I know someone said last week, oh man, Terry, you need to make them give you back your full hour. Well, they didn't take it away permanently. That was kind of a temporary thing where they preempted my stream with a 30-minute one on a special series on CCX. So that series has ended, and now I'm back to my full hour. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive in. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to find your images fast. Now, I'm going to be showing this in the various ways of doing this in Lightroom. And we're going to talk about metadata, we're going to talk about EXIF data, we're going to talk about keywords, we're going to talk about organization, we're going to talk about basically all the tools that I can think of that you have at your disposal, including facial recognition, all the tools that you have at your disposal to quickly locate your images. Now, with that said, there are usually two camps for finding images. There are the users like me that say, hey, I remember this cool shot that I took of the Eiffel Tower at sunset, and I want to go look at that picture because I want to use it or post it or print it and blah, blah, blah. All right, that's probably easy enough to find with organization. Meaning, if I organized my photos properly and I put all my Paris photos in a collection for Paris that year, I can pretty much get to it in a few clicks. Click on travel, click on Paris, and boom, there are all my Eiffel Tower shots, and scroll through and find the one I'm looking for. That's one way. I could also, in addition to that, maybe give it a star rating so that I can say, instead of scrolling through 500 Paris images, I can say, well, give me all my 5 stars because those are the ones I like the best. That'll find it even quicker. But then there's the other camp that organization is not enough, meaning you're very organized, you got everything in collections the way it should be, but you still sometimes need to find an image that isn't as obvious in an organization scheme. So for example, giving you that same scenario, went to Paris in 2009, whatever year it was, took 500 images, more than that probably, but 500 images. And yes, of course, there are going to be some Eiffel Tower shots in there, some museums and all that. But I'm looking for the woman in the yellow dress with the white high heels on, whatever. Like I'm looking for a specific shot that really has nothing to do with that organization. Meaning Yeah, it was taken in Paris. It was taken outside the Louvre, but finding it that way, because I may not remember where I saw that shot or where I took that shot. So organization wouldn't really help me in that way unless I remembered all the specifics. I remembered where it was, I remembered kind of what year it was, and I'm going to still scroll through and find them. That's where the other camp would say, no, 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 I'm not going to waste time looking for it that way. I'm going to use keywords. Because if I keyword it, yellow dress, white high heels, sidewalk, Louvre, all that stuff, then I can just search for a keyword, yellow dress or yellow whatever I said, and boom, all the yellow dresses will come up, no matter where they were taken. So that has nothing to really do with necessarily organization, as opposed to I'm going to be looking for very specific things that a client may be asking me for. So I had a conversation the other day with one of our former creative residents, Andre Leroux, and Andre was saying that he's working with different agencies, and they're sometimes like ping him with a request. We need, so and so male figure with a beard and so forth and so on. Well, organization's not going to help with that because organization is finding images based on the date, the time, the location, the whatever you organize it that way by versus keywords. So I'm not dissing keywords because I just gave you all the scenarios where organization won't help, keywords will. But at the same time, keywords aren't for everyone because not everyone needs to find images at that level. So does that make sense? If you say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to need to look for very specific images for specific things that I might want to do, then you're a keyword person. If you say, nah, I just need to see, 2 summers ago vacation in Hawaii and I just want to go to Hawaii pictures and look through them, then organization is probably enough. And so there's no reason why you can't do both. But you can use keyword search. Yes, you can. Absolutely. So Sean's saying, but you can use a keyword search just in a collection. Yeah, but again, it won't help you if you didn't do keywords. So that's what I'm saying. There's a need for some people only need one. Some people will need both. All right. So I've got in front of me, and let me go ahead and switch over so you can see it. I've got in front of me just a collection I put together called Finding Images, and it's just a random collection of images that I found that have various. These were like, some of these are old, some of these aren't so old, but these are images that would give me a harder time to find them than they should because I didn't do the right things back when these images were captured. Now I'll explain that in a minute. For example, let's go down to these. I'm going to skip down a little bit. I'm going to go down to these images I took at the Atlanta airport. So this is, hang on, let me turn on a view here. Let's go into, I want to go into show info overlay. There we go. So as you can see, this image was taken back in 2019, and it is called affectionately _TLW 1017-2.nef because basically I was in a hurry. I dumped my images in Lightroom Classic, and I didn't do anything else. There's like one keyword, Atlanta, and I didn't do anything else. So if I search for Atlanta, this really is not going to help me because I wouldn't be searching for a Delta jet in the air, in the clear blue sky, so forth and so on. None of that would come up in this search. So one of the first things I want to tell you to do, especially if you're a Lightroom Classic user, and by the way, we're going to be using both versions of Lightroom. So I've got Lightroom open here in the background with the same exact album of images. And let me go there, and let me actually go here and go here. All right, yeah, so same album or collection of images in Lightroom as well. But anyway, getting back to this. So one of the first things I do, besides putting them in a collection that I will be able to search on later, is I name them. Because even though I may not ever keyword this image, if I name the image, that's going to help me in searching in the future. So for example, let's select just this because that's part of the airport as well, all the way down to this. So those are all images taken at the same time. I was just in the call waiting lot, the cell phone lot, and I was just taking various shots of the planes taking off and so forth and so on. So let's go in and let's go to library and rename photos. So that's one of the first things I do once I get my images in and I cull them down to meaning I got rid of all the ones I didn't want. I'm now left with the ones I want. Then I go ahead and rename them. I just didn't do it on these. So that's why these were perfect for this demo. So now how do I rename them? I don't just change the file name because I want a custom name and a sequence. So I want the custom name, and by the way, let me go in and change one more rule here. I don't want just the custom name and a sequence. I want the custom name and a sequence of at least 4 numbers, 4-digit long sequence. Why 4 digits? Because what I've learned in the past is that if I search for Atlanta Airport 1, meaning that's the image I'm looking for, number 1, well, that's going to bring up Atlanta Airport number 1, number 10, 100, 111. It's going to bring up all the ones with a 1 in it. So I've learned to use a multiple digit sequence so that I would be searching for Atlanta 0001. There's only going to be 1 of those. There's not going to be 10 of those. There's not going to be 50 of those. It's only going to be 1. Why 4 digits? Why not 3? Why not 5? Because I usually don't do more than 9,999 images in a shoot. So just 4 digits works for me. If you're never going to do more than 999, 3 digits will work for you. All right, so now that I got my custom name and sequence, I can go ahead and give it a name. And by the way, your name can be very specific. It can be Atlanta. And I usually don't like spaces in my name. I just old school, but it doesn't hurt. You can put a space in there. Atlanta _ airport, airfield, Delta. Okay, then 0001. So now when I click OK, it will rename all of those images, not just in Lightroom. It's actually renaming the files on your hard drive. So that is one of the ways that I would always be able to at least define, if I were searching for images of an airport, I would at least be able to find images of an airport. I may not be able to find the exact one I'm looking for yet, but this would help narrow it down. So for example, now if I were to go back up and I would go to the top of this collection and I were to do a text search and I would search airport. Then it finds all the airport images, even though I didn't say Atlanta, I didn't say Delta, I didn't say anything else because airport is in the file name. So just renaming your images will help you in the future. Even if you never do keywords, even if you're not good at organization, even if these images could end up in a collection that doesn't make sense, like maybe I put these in a collection called Atlanta. Well, if I'm looking for airport images, I'd have to know that I have Atlanta airport images to be able to find those. So just again, keep those kinds of things in mind, that when you're searching, that your names can help you do a search. So for example, I'll give you an example of that. Let me deselect. So I just want to choose deselect active photo. Okay, I'm going to go back out to my main. Show me all my images. So this is showing me all the images I have, all 259,000. And I'm going to do a search for Krista. Now, I searched for Krista. I've never keyworded a single, as far as I know, I don't think I've ever keyworded any of Krista's images. I didn't have to go to a collection. I didn't have to do anything because every time I shoot with Krista, I name her images. So as long as I use the name, I'll quickly find all my Krista images, and then I could narrow it down, and I could say, in addition to that, give me an attribute. So give me all the ones that are rated green. And green is my rating. That's my favorite one. So that will then narrow it down to my favorite Krista images. So again, finding them fast without having to do a ton of work. All right. So let me, I saw some questions here that I wanted to get into really quickly. Affectionately is how most of my images titled. Okay, I saw a question here. I wanted to make sure I got it before it went by. All right. Organization, what a concept. I know, right? That's what it's all about. Yep, saw that. That's someone else's question. You must do organization if you need detail, then add keywords. Exactly. Organization is key. I only keep images that will make a fine addition to my collection. Great. Affectionately is how most of my images are titled. Rocky, good to see you here on this chat. I just want to make sure. I thought there. Oh, here it is. I have a dumb random question. Is there a way to upload only the files into Lightroom and not the JPEG files? So Shayna asked, I have a dumb question. Is there a way to upload only the NEF, meaning the raw files from an icon, into Lightroom and not the JPEG files? So I'm assuming by that question, and I could be wrong, that you're shooting raw plus JPEG. And if that's the case, then yeah, you're getting both images on the card. And when you go to import, it's going to treat the side-by-side raw and JPEG as one thing and bring them both in, but they're going to be two images. So you're asking, is there a way to do the raw files only? Not automatically, meaning you would have to put the card in and only manually you drag the raw files into Lightroom to import them, as opposed to just letting it import the card and it's going to import everything. So that's the only way that I know of to do it, to not have it import the JPEGs. I know there's some raw plus JPEG settings. I haven't looked at those in a while, so there might be one that lets you only import the raws, but I don't think, I've not seen that. All right. Do keywords made in Bridge import and work in Lightroom? We're going to talk about that, but the answer yes and no. Yes in Lightroom Classic, maybe not in Lightroom. So let's talk about that. So let's go back to our Finding Images collection. And so, for example, these images are not named properly. They're just image 0, 0, 20, 30, so forth and so on. And this is of one of the first shoots I ever did in my professional career. It's of a friend of mine. Her name's Maya. I didn't do any kind of real organization back then. So I didn't rename the images, but I was doing keywords back then. So I did put in her name. So I would now want to go in and rename these as well. So library, rename images. And let's go in and rename these Maya Simmons. All right, and that will go ahead and rename them. So again, even if those keywords weren't there, I would still be able to find them based on that. So I'm going to delete the keywords for a second. So let's get into talking about keywords just really quickly, because that subject's going to keep coming up until I do. All right, so I took the keywords out. So these images no longer have keywords in them anymore. They're just titled. And the airport images only have the keyword Atlanta. They don't have anything to do with airport, Delta, or anything else. And if I want to keyword an image, how would I do it? Let's start with that. So let's talk about these Delta images, these airport images. So let's select them all. And you'll notice that I have a keywording tab. And I also have, if I scroll down, a keyword list. And the keyword list is literally your list of keywords that you've used. Every keyword you ever make ends up in that keyword list. But we're going to stick to the keywording tab. And here, instead of me typing here and having to hit a comma every time, I'm actually going to go into the field where I can just go ahead and enter the keywords I want. So let's say airport. Hit airport and enter and see what it did. It added it as a keyword, automatically putting the comma and the space after it. So that's how keywords are normally entered. So blue sky. All right. Blue sky is done. Plane. Airplane. Okay. What else? Clear sky. I could do no clouds in case I'm looking for that. So what you're doing by putting these keywords in is you're thinking to yourself, you're looking at the images and say, what would I ever search and find this image based on? That's kind of where keywords are. So like you're looking at this and saying, well, it's a picture of a plane, it's in the sky, it's in Atlanta, it's a Delta, need to put Delta. delta. And by the way, if you misspell a keyword, it's not going to help you in the future if you try and search and you search on the proper spelling. All right, delta. If I knew the model of the plane, maybe it's a 737, I could put that in. And then, so that kind of covers the bulk of what's going on here. Now, there's some other flights or some other images that have other things in them. Like this is barbed wire. It's like the fence right below the airplane in the sky. So that one I can add, those images I can add more. Fence, barbed, I don't know if I spelled barbed right, barbed wire. That's also a fence. So these are also fence images, so I'd select those. I should select them all at the same time, but anyway, fence and barbed. Chances are if I'm spelling it wrong now, I'm going to spell it wrong when I go to search for it, so that's okay. And so forth and so on. Now, you may come up with 10 more searches that you would search for. But now that I've got all those keywords in, if I go anywhere in Lightroom and search for any of those keywords, these images will come up. And that's what I meant by I may, oh, did I misspell delta? No, I didn't. Because that would be one I don't want to misspell. D-E-L-T-A. No, I did not misspell delta. Okay. Oh, did I misspell it in the naming of the photo? That could be. I did. So let's go ahead and rename those again. Because again, we don't want to have that issue. So let's go in real quick. Rename photos. And what did I call these? Atlanta. Airport. Delta. As I spell it wrong again. Delta. And there was, oh, airfield, I think. Yep, airfield. Air. F-I-E-L-D, field. There we go. And that's it. Okay, that's, for example purposes, that's close enough. All right, so that way, if I'm searching for delta, either way, this image would have still come up because now it has the delta keyword. But if I were searching for just the title, I hadn't keyworded, then delta would not bring up the images because I didn't spell them correctly. All right, so now we got that out of the way. So keywording is just that simple. It's a matter of finding, being able to find images that aren't necessarily in an organization that you would normally look for. In other words, if I put these in an Atlanta collection, great. If I'm just looking for random images in Atlanta. But if I'm looking for an airport image, if I don't have an airport collection, I may not remember that I even have these airport images in Atlanta. So that's why the keywords would help me more in that situation. Now, speaking of organization, I tend to pride myself on my organization capabilities, but let's go ahead and take a look. So let's scroll through my collections here. I've got this demo collection, or demo collection set, I should say. This demo collection set is basically all the collections I use for demo purposes, including my photography masterclass sub-collection set with the one we're working on today called Finding Images. But when I get out of that and I go to my normal everyday type collections, notice I've got a collection set called Travel. And in that collection set, I've got Arizona, Atlanta, Seattle, so forth and so on. And just various places I've been around the world have their own collections. So if I were to go to, for example, Egypt faves, because I made a sub-collection of just my favorite images in Egypt, then I'm going to find them. And I'm also going to see that, yep, back in those days, I wasn't renaming my images properly either. So I wouldn't find these images if I didn't have them organized that way, unless I used keywords, which I did, or unless I went specifically to that collection. So again, this is another opportunity for me to rename these images to something that would be more searchable from an image naming perspective. So once again, select all, rename photos, Egypt, Cairo. I'll just leave it at that for now. All right, so Egypt and Cairo. And then it's going to rename all those so that if I ever search for any of those two words, even if I didn't have the keywords, I would be able to find them. All right, so just get in the habit of renaming your images. Get in the habit of using keywords if you need to identify and find images based on other things than the obvious. And organization will help you even if you didn't do either of the first two. If you didn't name the images and you didn't keyword them, if I were looking for images from Detroit, I'm most likely going to find them in my Detroit folder, whether they've been renamed, whether they've been, or my Detroit collection, whether they've been renamed, whether they've had keywords added or not. I'm going to usually find them because that's where they are. So I always start with organization. I usually do renaming, and then I do keywords if necessary. So that's my order of doing things. And that way I can always at least jump to a specific spot where I'm most likely to find the images quickly. Now, like I said, the ultimate is keywords, but if you don't do keywords, at least do these other two. Now let's talk about Lightroom for a minute and what the differences are. Can you save collections to an external drive? Collections are a part of Lightroom. They don't get saved anywhere. So collections only exist in your catalog, in other words. No, the answer is no. You cannot save collections. You can export them, but you cannot save them to another drive because they only exist in your catalog. All right. How does this differ in Lightroom? Well, there's a couple of big differences. Number one, there is no renaming images in Lightroom. So we were in Lightroom Classic. Now I just switched over to Lightroom. There's no renaming images, period. The images are whatever they are, whatever they get named. Now, if they've been synced from Lightroom Classic, obviously if you rename them there, they're going to sync up and change the names here. But if they only exist here, there's no way to rename them. Number two, if you do keywords, remember I keyworded this? How did I keyword it? I called it airplane, delta, blue sky, clear sky, no clouds, all that stuff, right? Oh, wrong button. There we go. None of that came over because keywords between Lightroom and Lightroom Classic don't sync to each other. Big thing to think about because they don't. So if you're going to spend your time keywording, then you need to spend your time keywording in the particular application you're going to be using the most and the one you're going to be searching in. So since I'm mostly a Lightroom Classic user, if I were going to take my time to keyword, I'd take my time to keyword over there, not here. Now, there's another big advantage in using Lightroom for finding images quickly over Lightroom Classic, and that is your Lightroom images are synced to the cloud, and therefore Adobe Sensei artificial intelligence can identify what the images are with no keywords whatsoever, and of course no renaming. So for example, if I were to close the keyword box here and I just go to search and I just search from here and I search for airplane, it found images of airplanes. Even the ones that are very, very tiny. It found images of airplanes with no keywords, no file names, no nothing, because it knows what an airplane looks like. So here's the advantage. I can do a search in Lightroom and find images. Great. I didn't have to keyword. I have to even do any special organization. I have to do anything. Adobe Sensei knows what an airplane looks like and let me find it. Cool. The disadvantage. It may guess wrong. It may guess wrong to your favor, meaning it found all the airplanes, but then it found a picture of a truck, which you don't care as long as it's found all your airplanes. It also may guess wrong to your disadvantage. It may misidentify an object that was an airplane as something else and not show it. So while the Adobe Sensei search is awesome, I love it, I use it all the time, it's not a guarantee because it is artificial intelligence. There's no keywording, there's nothing in it. It's just looking at your images and trying to figure out what they are. And if it guesses wrong, then it's either going to bring up images that aren't airplanes or whatever you're looking for, or it's not going to bring up a particular airplane shot you're looking for because it didn't know it didn't know that that was an airplane. So it's catch-22. So I love it, but if you want to guarantee that you're going to be able to find the image and you're using Lightroom, then you want a keyword or use organization as well. Now, I have that same organization structure here in Lightroom that I have in Lightroom Classic. So if I were to go to travel and I were to go to Egypt and I were to go to Egypt faves, there they all are. And I would be able to find, scroll through and find my favorite Egypt images. And if I had done some 5 stars, those are my favorites. Those are my 5-star images. And if I were to do picks, found my picks, great. If I had done other things, it would have found those other things as well. So it can, you can find images quickly using organization in either version of Lightroom is what I'm saying. Whether it's Lightroom, Cloud version, or Lightroom Classic, traditional desktop version that you're used to. And again, the guarantee here is if I want to be very specific in my searching, I can't stress this enough, then I want to do keywording, but I want to do keywording in the app that I'm likely to use the most. All right, let's go back to Lightroom Classic for a second. And in Lightroom Classic, what I want to do is I want to talk about, let's go back to our finding images again. Our demo, our photography masterclass, our finding images. See how quickly I was able to get back to those because I knew where they were. They weren't all over the place. Anyway, I have a collection here. And now I want to talk about facial recognition. Now, facial recognition started in Lightroom Classic, and it's still there, and it's okay in Lightroom Classic. It's not awesome, but it's okay. In Lightroom, it's actually awesome. It's amazing the way it works. Hang on for a second here. So what do I mean by facial recognition? Facial recognition started in Lightroom Classic as a way of tagging your images, basically a way of doing keywords based on face. So that way you could quickly get to an image. There we go. You can quickly get to an image based on a person's name. So for example, if I were to go to View and I were to come down to People, notice that we're normally in Loop or Grid or Loop or Compare or Survey, but I don't think I've ever even talked about the People search in my masterclass to this point, maybe once. If I go to People, and it's already done it, but it's gone through all the images in this film strip, in this collection, and it's detected all the faces. So it's saying, now, based on these faces I have found, in other words, I have found people, I have found faces that I think are people, and then at the bottom, it's saying, and these are the people I think these look like. And this is where it's sometimes comical because I know the model Tukey that she's African American, looks nothing like this person. And her room is saying, is this Tukey? I'm like, no, it's not. So how would I fix that? I would just simply come in here and click the right name, and her name is Maggie. Actually, that is her real name, Maggie Ellington. And so now it's saying, oh, that's Maggie Ellington. Great. I'll move it up to the name people, and it will, if I click on it, put the Maggie Ellington keyword in the keywords. So that's really all this is doing is it's letting you, and it's okay with individual, like this is not really saving me a lot of time on individual portraits because I could have just selected all Maggie's portraits, clicked in the keywords, typed her name in, done. Where it really helps is when it's a group shot, when it's 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. And it's then found all the faces in that group shot and it lists them individually for you to name them. And then it adds all the keywords to those group shots. That's when it's really useful. So for example, now these three are still the same person. So all I have to do is just simply drag them up, and yeah, don't show me again. And say, yeah, you know what? You guessed these wrong. You didn't know that was the same person. Just, hey, this is the same person. So I can just drag those up, and now those all have been identified as Maggie Ellington. The same thing here. I can just go in, and this is Maya Simmons. And now those have been named, and those keywords have been added. So that's how you would use the facial recognition in Lightroom Classic. And like I said, it's okay. There will be some times where you will be laughing, I guarantee it, because it's going to give you some names. You're going to say, how in the heck did you think this was this person? Or worse, like I remember having these different backdrops that I would shoot against, and the backdrops had different patterns in them, like no people, just patterns. And it would show up in the facial recognition because the pattern to Lightroom Classic looked close enough like a face. It would just be a random pattern of lines. And I'm like, yeah, that's not a person, and just ignore it. Just get out of that. All right, so that's the people recognition in Lightroom Classic, and in Lightroom, it's way, way, way better. Let me jump out of this view real quick, and let me go here. There we go. So it's identified. You know what? Let me do one thing real quick. I just want to show one more, if I can find it. Here I am. If I could find it real fast. Let's go here. And let's go here. All right. Let's go in and find a shot with multiple people in it. That's a good one. Okay, let's use that one. So I'm going to drag this one into this collection. And I'll drag this one of the evangelism team into this collection as well. Okay, so now let's go back to that. So now I've added a couple images of multiple people. And so now if I were to go back up to view and choose people one more time, you'll start to see what it's doing here. So it's identified Jason Levine. Yep, that's Jason. And it's all, so it's asking, is this Jason Levine? Because I kind of know what Jason Levine looks like. Yep, that's Jason Levine. Is this Michael Chase? Yeah, that's Michael Chase. You're right. Is this Rufus? Yep, that's Rufus. You're right. Is this Jason? No, it's not. Is this Denise? No, it's not. Is this Tukey? No, it's not. It's Russell Brown. All right, so I would go in and fix these. Russell Preston Brown. And, God, I forgot her name. Okay, we're just going to leave that one out because I don't remember her name, but this is the same person. I don't remember her name. But anyway, it will go in and find those people and then give me the option to name them and therefore add the keyword. So if I click on this image, it now has the Russell Preston Brown keyword and the Russell Brown keyword. Click on this one, it knows it's me. It's got all the keywords in it because it's a group shot. And that's the way this works. So if I were to go back to the grid and I would click on this group shot, you'll see that it added all the keywords for all the people that are in that shot because, hang on, let me zoom out, there we go, because of the facial recognition feature. So that's, yep, you can just drag them up. So that's how the facial recognition works in Lightroom Classic for, especially if you do a lot of people, a lot of group shots, for doing quick tagging of multiple people in shots. So this is one from Facebook. Does facial recognition leave my control computer and go elsewhere? Not in Lightroom Classic. So in Lightroom Classic, this is a local feature. It's not a cloud feature at all. So that hopefully alleviates any of that fear. Okay. In Lightroom, however, it is cloud-based because all of Lightroom is cloud-based. So you'll notice that if I go up here, there is an actual people category in the upper left corner. If I click on people, it does a way, way, way better job of finding people. The facial recognition is next level. It's like where we started with Lightroom Classic and then said, okay, for 2020, 2021, 2022, let's make it real. This is the facial recognition here. So it works the same way where it starts identifying people. So all of these faces, you notice, have names under them because I've gone ahead and identified them already. But if I were to scroll all the way down, then it's going to just start showing me people that don't have names because I have not identified them yet, including a tire, including that wheel. So that's what I meant by you're going to laugh at random patterns of people that, and sometimes it could be an advertisement. So you'll see famous people in your collection because they were in the shot. Now, some of these people have been identified, and if I were to just click on them and then change the name to who it really is, then it will add that person to the rest of the grouping. So for example, let's see here. That's Larry Becker. Let's click on Larry's picture. And it's asking, is this the same person? Yes, it is. Merge all 17 of those in there. Great. And is this Larry Becker? Yep, that's who it is. So it's just that fast because I've identified Larry once and it wasn't sure of those other ones, those other 7 photos. Once I told it, yep, that's Larry Becker, then it went ahead and added the rest quickly. There's no dragging, there's no dropping, you just do it. So I love the facial recognition in Lightroom versus Lightroom Classic. All right, so if I were to go down to Larry's, since we're going to use Larry as our example today, there's Kyle Webster. Hey, Kyle. If I were to go down and find Larry Becker, there he is. So now I'm finding every photo I have of Larry Becker in Lightroom, just that fast. Because it has, and by the way, if I went to his name and there were more pictures in Lightroom that it thought might be him, they would be at the top and it would ask me, are these Larry Becker as well? And I would say yes or no. And if you say no, then it just doesn't tag it. If you say yes, then it adds it to the tag. So Lightroom is leaps and bounds ahead in terms of facial recognition. Stained glass will obviously give it a hard time as well because, again, for whatever reason, it thinks those are people. But it will quickly let you go in and identify people fast and easy, and therefore always be able to quickly find them. Because once you've named them, then you just go to their name and every picture you've ever taken of them will be here. So let me do one more real quick. I have 10 pictures of Ed. So it found Ed screenshot. It found Ed in group shots with all these other people because Ed's face got identified with all those other people. Let's see, I have another person here. Oh, there's Einar from Iceland. So same kind of thing. If I wanted looking for a picture from Iceland with Einar, it found all my Iceland pictures with Einar. So finding images quickly in Lightroom, that's given me another reason why I love using Lightroom if I need to search for images. And this also works on your phone, your iOS devices, your Android devices, and of course your desktop using Lightroom as well. But the only way it's going to work is the images had to have been synced to Lightroom in the cloud in order for them to be here to be able to do this kind of searching. Okay, Tram, I'm not a lawyer, so when you ask me, does it breach any person's privacy or whatever, I'm not the person to ask because whatever answer I give you is with a grain of salt since I don't know the laws in that case. So you're better to ask a lawyer in that situation. All right, so let's move on. Let's go back to Lightroom Classic. Here we are. And there was going to be one more thing I was going to do while I was here. Talked about naming. We talked about keywording. Let me go back to my list. Search on EXIF data. Okay. So you notice at the very top of both Lightroom and Lightroom Classic, there in the search capabilities, you have more than just searching for text and keywords. So how do we get people's names and keywords back to Lightroom Classic? We're using our master keywording. So Kim600 is asking, so how do we get those people names, keywords back to Lightroom Classic if we're using that for our master keywording? The only way I can imagine you doing that is you would have to put them in a collection. So I'd have to put them in a Russell Brown collection, which then would sync back to Lightroom Classic, and then in Lightroom Classic, select all Russell Brown. And then I could delete the collection after that. It would be a very manual process because keywords don't sync back and forth. So you would have to get them over in an organized fashion, usually an album or collection, and then select all Russell Brown and then delete the collection. There's no faster way that I can think of doing that since the keywords don't sync. All right. Oh, yeah. So I was talking about searching. So beyond text, beyond the file name, beyond keywords, what if I'm looking for photos based on other things? Maybe I'm looking for photos as a photographer based on the I was going to say metadata, but it's actually called EXIF data in the photo itself. So for example, when I click on this photo, we scroll down and we can see various things about it, like what camera it was shot with. So this was shot way back in 2007. Like I said, it was one of my first shoots, and it was shot way back when I had a Nikon D80. Okay, that's great. And that's great information. I can see the camera settings and so forth and so on. But what if I wanted to know other images that were shot with that camera, that lens, my iPhone, whatever? Then you'll notice that you have a metadata search, which is the third one. When I click on metadata, that brings up these categories by default. So it brings up date, camera, lens, label. And I always wonder, I always said to myself, well, that's fine, but I'm looking for other things. So for example, camera, great. I can see all the ones shot with my iPhone 7 Plus. Cool. But what if I want all the ones shot with my iPhone 7 Plus, or let's go back. Let's go into my Nikon. So let's say I wanted to see all the ones shot with my D6 or Z6, and I see which lenses were used, so I can see the ones I shot with the 14 to 24 millimeter versus the 24 to 70 millimeter. I can see which ones were shot with each one. And I also want to see the ones that were rated 5 stars, because it's giving me date, it's giving me camera, it's giving me lens, it's giving me label, but I don't need label. I want star rating. Well, you'll notice at the very top of each one of these words, there's a little up and down arrow. So next to label, if I don't want label, I can click on it and choose rating. I can choose whatever I want. And then that will show me all the ones, so yeah, there aren't any with ratings in this collection. Let me just give a few. Let's just select those and make those 5 stars. There we go. So now I can say, show me all the ones shot with my Nikon Z6 with that lens that I rated 5 stars. And then that will show me very specific images shot on a certain day, in a certain location, with a certain camera, with a certain lens, with a certain star rating, with a certain color label, with whatever it is you're looking for, you want to drill down in a particular set. Now again, we're just searching a collection. I could easily go to all photos and search every photo in Lightroom Classic, all 200,000 plus photos, and find very specific images based on my metadata searching here. Okay. Thank you for explaining how to get people names out. You're welcome. Okay, next up. What if I'm looking for... those are ones shot with a D600, and these are ones shot with a D80, and these are ones shot with my iPhone XS, iPhone 12 Pro Max. Okay, one more thing we can do. I'm looking for images shot at a specific location, and I didn't put them in that location album/collection. Well, if the images have GPS data, then you can go in and you'll notice that there's a little flag in the bottom of the image. So this little white flag in the bottom right corner of these images means that these images have location data. So I could go in and I can say, for example, where is this lake that I shot these? So I click, yep, I got it. Turn off the tips. Thank you, I know. And it will take me to, let's go back one more time. Oops. Go back. There we go. Shows me 26 photos shot in that location where that lake is. So it will show me all the photos around in this area. There will be a little pin on the map of wherever this is that these were shot. These were shot in Fairburn, Georgia. But anyway, I could go in and I could, there we go. I could zoom in. And this mapping data is powered by Google. And it's showing me, now once I drill down, it's showing me, oh, you shot some over there, you shot some over here, you shot some over here. And I can drill down and say, oh, show me the 12 that are right by the lake. And it will show me those 12. Now, you might be saying, well, what if I didn't do that? Like, what if my camera didn't have a GPS, or what if I didn't shoot them with my phone? How can I take advantage of this mapping? Well, you can drag images to the map. It's a manual process, but you can say, hey, I really want these to be geotagged, and I want to do it after the fact. I forgot to use a GPS or camera or shoot with my iPhone or whatever. Then you could literally drag an image to a spot on the map. I can put this image right in the middle of the lake. And now that image is geotagged with shooting right in the middle of that lake. Although I wasn't in the middle of the lake, I was on the shore. But you can search for the location because there's a search field on the map module. Find the location, drill down to where the images were taken, select all the images that were taken in that spot, drag them at one fatal swoop onto the map, and they will get the GPS coordinates added to the metadata of each of those images permanently. Like, it's saved as part of the metadata, and that way you would always be able to search on those locations. So if we look at the GPS field over here, it starts to show me the longitude and latitude of where that particular image is. So just keep that in mind, is that your images can be searched based on location as well. All right, let's see here. Let's go back. We did exit data. Now, I'd be remiss if I just didn't point out the fact that you can search just simply based on like what you did to the image. So I didn't keyword it, I didn't name it, I didn't put it in a collection, I didn't do anything. But I did mark it 5 stars or green flag or blue flag or pick or whatever. You can search based on just the attributes. Show me all my 5-star photos. Show me my 4-star photos. So 4 and above. So some of these were 4s, some of these are 5s. Show me all the ones that have a pick flag. Meaning I usually use the pick flag as a customer pick. So show me the pick flags. Show me the rejects, if any. I probably don't have any rejects because I would have gotten rid of them already. But show me any of those attributes that were part of this. Now you look over here in the right-hand corner. There are some other kinds. Show me the original photos versus virtual copies. And show me videos. Show me the ones that are videos. So you can do kinds as well. So for example, if I were to make a virtual copy of this photo, like that, and I'll make a virtual copy of this photo, like that. And now I were to go in and say, show me just my virtual copies. It will show me my virtual copies. Or don't show me virtual copies, just show me my originals. Just show me the original photos without the virtual copies. And by the way, I know where this photo was taken because I use it all the time. But if I showed you this, you'd be guessing. Like you would have no clue as to where this photo was taken. But because I tagged it, it was taken in Poland. So it takes me right to the spot in Poland where I took that particular image and shows it to me. So I love geotagging, and the map module is one of my favorite things, and it's one of the reasons I love Classic over Lightroom, because Lightroom just doesn't have that kind of geotagging yet, or at this point. All right, I think that's about it. Did I cover everything on my list? People searching, AI-based searching, EXIF, beyond organization, keywording, renaming, yep, I did it all. And I did it all on time for a change. I'm not rushing at the last minute. So I got like 30 seconds for any questions that you may have. So go ahead and shoot. And I will take your questions for 30 seconds and then we'll call it a stream. And next up is the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge, if I'm not mistaken. So be sure to stick around for that. And another great tip, great tips, great. Glad you guys got stuff out of this. Is geodata automatically added to photos? If the camera has a GPS in it, yes. So your phones, if you turned on location meaning that's a privacy setting. So if location's on when you snap a photo, then yes, the geodata is automatically added. So for example, the ones that I took, let's go back to get out of attributes, let's go back to metadata, and let's go back to the iPhone 7 Plus shots. Notice that those all have the little flag. I didn't add the geodata there. That was taken in a room. And because I took it with my phone, it automatically added the geo coordinates to it. All right. Let's see if there's any more questions. I think that is it. Okay. All right. I want to thank you all for watching. Next week, we're going to do how I would edit your photos. So stay tuned for the link to submit your photos. I usually do that monthly or every couple months. I haven't done it once this year yet. So we're going to be doing that next week, which is in February. And cheers, everyone. Real quick, can you use Lightroom Classic to do this for hard copies on your computer? I don't know what you mean by hard copies on your computer. So you got to really be more specific there. I don't know what that means. All right, so cheers, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.